Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Tougies Take podcast. Just 2 days after the most recent one, thanks to the joys known as American Thanksgiving. This was the day of the week to make things work. Thankfully, in some cases, there are things to talk about, despite it only being 2 days since. Unfortunately, there are other things to talk about that have happened in the past 2 days that we will get to. It's going to be an interesting show to have to handle in terms of the positives and an overwhelming negative, to say the absolute least, but we will get to that a little bit later on. So it's going to be one of those type of shows. For now, though, I will say hello, my friends. How are you today? We'll start off with Mr. Sin for the win, who was absent from Monday's show.
Yeah, no, I had a great little mini trip up to Nevada City. Nice little lazy time in a cottage, just chilling, getting away from it all.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, honestly.
Am jealous. And no, how have your last couple of days been, buddy?
I mean, it's been really interesting. Just a lot of hockey, a lot of extra rehabilitation on my knee. Just keeping care so that I can actually live and be able to walk without having a limp in like 5 years from now. You got to do what you got to do. I'm doing well. How about yourself, there, Tougies?
I'm doing okay. Admittedly, I try to be as open and honest as I can be on these. This Thanksgiving was looking like it was going to be great. It's about a year and a half now that I've been in this house. Last year, we were still kind of doing some renovation stuff for Thanksgiving. So this year, it's like, yes, we're hosting Thanksgiving for both sides of the family. Oof. And my dad's sick. So my parents are coming. I'm like, motherfucker. Like the past month and a half for me. Like all of a sudden, I'm like, hey, 2022 has been a pretty good year. Things have gone well. Got to hang out with my good buddy Sinski over in Finland, for God's sakes, of all places. Awesome. It's been a good year, and then out of nowhere, it's like, hey, it's October. Fuck you. It's been
fuck you. It's January.
It's been a bit of a dive, but hopefully we'll figure things out as we go along. But hey, it could always be worse. Yeah, all things considered, not that bad. In the last episode, though, you missed it. We talked about NHL 23 for a long time.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, a long time. Now that you're here, we're not going to talk about it at all.
Oh, that's right.
As we were saying, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, Sin's not here. All right, let's derail the show. Just rant and rave about NHL for a while. It's a beautiful time. That said, intro-wise, I think that's about it. We'll kind of get to what we have to talk about today. I do want to mention, though, before we get to at least one viewer question, it was kind of short notice, so I don't think people were all that prepped, but that's okay. Want to mention, as always, this podcast is brought to you by our lovely friends at Manscaped. Manscaped.com, the place to be for all of your grooming needs, especially heading into the holiday season. Of course, as always, we will tout the amazing cylindrical deodorants.
I have it this both have it. I should go get my fucking ear and nose hair trimmer to have that on.
There you go. That of course being the Weed Whacker. There's the phenomenal Ultra Smooth package, which again, if you ever needed the confidence boost to say I can get away with shaving my groin and not dying of itch later on, Manscaped's got you covered. Goodness gracious. Code Tougie, Tougie, 20% off, free shipping. Manscaped.com. We thank them, we thank you, and we thank this individual for sending in their question from #FireHackstall, which, by the way, I don't know how many Kraken fans are asking for Dave Hackstall to be fired at this stage.
Yeah.
With the Seattle Kraken currently having the 7th best win percentage in the NHL this year.
Good for them.
Congrats.
They are what I was hoping they'd be last year, but instead they had to make me look very, very dumb. My goodness. Start bench cut for Thanksgiving foods.
Are we assuming turkey is just on the ice, I hope?
Okay, so let me set the record straight. Turkey for Thanksgiving, ham for Christmas. Both are elites. Cut the bullshit.
Yeah, you got me there.
Turkey starts, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That said, Do you? I guess in terms of start, it would be your number one, the number one food that you're looking forward to on Thanksgiving, which again for Sin and I is tomorrow. And a happy Thanksgiving to all of our fellow Americans. We have so much to be thankful for in this country. It's gonna be that type of episode, everybody. Be ready. Holy shit. God, yeah. Sin, your number one Thanksgiving food. The one thing tomorrow where you're like, yes, make it happen.
Pumpkin pie.
Oh my god, I love pumpkin
Ooh.
pie. Oh my
Pumpkin
god.
pie. Absolutely all the time.
Yes. Yes. You know how hard it is for me to find fucking pumpkin pie in like June? I just have a random cream pumpkin pie.
Yeah, no, I I just have to save up all my cravings for this time of year, both months, all the way up until Christmas, essentially. I recently just tried a pumpkin spice latte for the first time and confirmed I'm a basic white bitch. Because damn, that shit is fire, dude. Those chicks in leggings and Han Solo boots got it down, man.
Get your fucking Visco cam girl being like your flask and your fucking what is it, the
Ugh.
scrunchies and all that. Go
I
full
wear
out.
a scrunchie. Scrunchies are amazing.
You're already there.
Well, now I know whenever Sin finally makes it to the almost great white north of the state of Maine, Beyonce 24, her family known for making some, I believe the kids would call them bomb ass pies. uh,
All right, I'm down. Also, got to
including
try that
pumpkin.
shepherd's pie. Was that you showed me the picture
Yes.
of? Fuck,
Oh,
Too.
that shit
Yes.
looks great, man.
Yep. No, we're we eat well, as people can tell by my 7 chins. We eat well. It's a great time. Oh, also, Fiance 24's dad makes pumpkin chocolate chip whoopie pies,
excuse me?
What's a whoopie pie?
which is based. So a standard whoopie pie is like 2 almost like chocolate muffin type things with like cream in the middle.
Hmm.
And yeah, he makes a pumpkin chocolate chip version of that.
Interesting. Well, I love anything pumpkin, so let's go.
You'll never want to
Love
go
anything
home again. You'll just be like, I'm staying here for the food
Yeah.
and the easier travel to Finland. God, for me, number one Thanksgiving food. Fuck. The number one though, it's so tough. The desserts are always great, right? I mean that's the starter. It's the desserts. It's what you eat the dinner for.
Yeah.
God, do I want to really? I mean, you called yourself a basic white bitch. Do I really want to be a basic white bitch and say like potatoes?
Hey, dude, those mashed potatoes are fire, man. Like,
Yeah.
You know,
Can't go
you
wrong.
know?
Can't go wrong.
There you go. Something that you would bench.
hmm.
Oh, by the way, really quickly, mac and cheese for Thanksgiving, yes or no?
Sure. I think all these side dishes are cool. Like that's such a comfort food, and I feel like Thanksgiving is the ultimate comfort meal.
Okay. One question though. That mac and cheese, is it like stovetop or is it like oven mac and cheese?
Oven mac and cheese.
Oven mac and
Okay,
cheese.
okay. But the oven mac and cheese we're set. Yes,
Yeah,
100%.
we're not trying to offend the
Like-
cookout, man.
Like a gourmet mac and cheese, not craft dinner.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. Good ass
I'm
mac
just
and
making
cheese.
sure. Tougie
Like,
Tougie
A
said last week
layer
they
of
don't do my
breaded
cookout, so-
stuff on it, and like,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
so
Like,
bench.
Yeah.
Bench for me, it's got to be the turkey stuffing.
Ooh,
You're not
we
a fan
disagree
of
on that.
stuffing?
I don't like it. It does nothing for me, man. I know everyone looks at me like I'm absolutely crazy, but I'll have a couple
Beyonce's the
fucking
same way,
rolls.
so it's fine.
I'll have a
but-
couple rolls before I eat that stuffing, man. I don't know. It's just like it's a sponge. It's eating sponge.
It's delicious.
You sick fucks.
You sure you're like seasoning up that stuffing and like, like
Yeah, no.
No?
I don't know. It's texture, man. I'm very much texture to me is very important with food. Like, it's one reason I hate raw tomatoes, but I can eat them cooked. It's the texture.
Thank you.
It's the
Thank you.
texture
Yeah.
of that. Like, same with like guacamole. Like, I can eat some avocado, like, because the flavor's not as strong and the texture's not as horrible, even though it's still not great. But like guacamole, I can't fucking do. It's gross.
you can't? Oh.
Mm-mm.
For my
can go
bench, cranberry sauce.
That's
Yes.
That was
Yes,
close on my
fine.
list.
It's fine. I don't think it has to be cut, but it's not a starter. I will have a little bit of it. It's not
Yeah.
necessity though.
I'm on the borderline of cut. I'm not really a big fan of strawberry sauce. I'm trying to think of what else you usually have. Do you guys have corn at your fucking Thanksgiving?
Yes.
Occasionally, yeah.
Usually, I can't stand corn. Um, okay, let
What
me
did
explain
Jonathan Davis ever do to you?
this.
Sorry.
As a kid, my mom would always have we'd always have corn, and I used to eat so much corn, like a ridiculous amount of it that I've gotten numb to eating corn. If corn's there, I won't be oh yeah, sure I'll have some corn, sweet. It's yeah, maybe 1 out of 10 times I'll have fucking corn.
All right.
Fair enough. Can't argue
Yeah.
with it. The cut. Green bean casserole.
Oh fuck casserole. Yeah, get that
Not a
shit
fan.
out of
Not
here.
a fan of green beans.
Yeah,
I
they're
would.
not great.
I will pass on green bean casserole.
Yeah, I was thinking about cutting the green beans because we didn't even casserole. It's just like a thing of green beans. Sometimes they put bacon in it, and I'm just like, that's still not enticing. Yeah, my cut's gonna have to be the cranberries. Or yeah, cranberry sauce, dude. I don't know the fucking that or gravy because I don't like gravy on my potatoes usually, but I'll go with cranberry sauce.
Fair enough. Endo, your cut option.
Yeah, green bean casserole. Get that shit out of here. Fuck.
Fair enough. So, a thank you to One Fire Hackstall. And,
Here's a good
yeah.
alternate for those of you who also don't like the green beans. Make asparagus. I have a very good simple asparagus recipe. It's so simple that all it contains is asparagus on a baking sheet with tinfoil. Drizzle some olive oil on it, salt and pepper. You bake it at 350 for 15-20 minutes, and it's crispy and seasoned and nice.
Can confirm. I was never an asparagus person, and that is exactly what the fiance's family does, and it's won me over a little bit. It's not like a go-to. I'm not gonna fight people for it, but I'll have a little bit.
Plus, it gets you that
Nice.
real strong piss. Yeah.
Yeah.
I want the
Mark-
neighbors to know.
I eat so much fucking asparagus, the whole block knows. Ugh.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Usually the day after, I usually stay for Thanksgiving. I usually spend the night at my cousin's place just to hang out and all that, just to chill because I haven't seen each other in years usually. And the amount of asparagus I would eat is disgusting. It's disgusting because the next morning, bro, it's just it's zangy, the smell.
Yeah, we don't have to describe it, but I think everyone
Yeah.
knows.
Yeah, it's the asparagus pee. That's it.
Thank
Just
you for the
beautiful.
question, as Endo really, really ends that particular talking point with a bang. Well done. With that said, everyone, we're going to get into talking about the hockey side of things, and we have to start off on a more negative note, of course, because apparently this is just the fucking world that we live in.
Yay!
So Jagger Joshua, younger brother of Vancouver Canuck Dakota Joshua, posted this on the 21st, Monday the 21st, on Twitter, releasing this statement. Acts of racism do not belong in hockey, as they can discourage African Americans and minorities like myself from playing and loving the game. Inaction in the face of racist comments and actions allow these behaviors to continue. Keep in mind, this was 10 days before. On November 11th, in our game against Ohio State, he plays for Michigan State. In our game against Ohio State, one of their players called me a racial slur multiple times. One of the officials heard the slur and gave the player a game misconduct penalty. There was an investigation by the Big Ten in the days after the incident, but no further public action has been taken by the Big Ten Conference or Ohio State. The inaction has left me feeling confused and pessimistic about the movement of diversity within hockey culture. The ignorance of racism does not belong in our game, and I feel that I need to make people aware that this incident occurred because without acknowledgement, the problem gets worse. I'd like to thank my teammates, coaches, and staff at Michigan State. I'm incredibly thankful for their support since this incident and as I have navigated this process. Again, is the first thought. Again. You can check the box score from that game on November 11th. It does show a game misconduct penalty without any preceding kind of charging, game misconduct. No, you know what it's for.
Mm-hmm.
The athletic director of Ohio State on Tuesday mentioned that Ohio State hockey player, I'm not even going to mention the fucker's name. It's pretty obvious. It's easy to find out who it is and whatever.
Yeah,
He's
it's
been
not
sent
title.
home and, quote, will not practice or compete at this time. Yeah, nothing would have happened had Jagger Joshua not spoken up.
Yeah, and the
That's
first
right. That's
statement,
yeah.
the first statement released by Ohio State was the most amount
Yeah.
of words to say absolutely fucking nothing, and they weren't even really gonna take action at that point. Like, it's so fucking gross, man. Like, they were really prioritizing a fourth liner and wanting him to compete, then it's just insane.
Yeah.
The fact that nothing was going to happen.
Yeah.
Nothing was going to happen. They weren't going to, Ohio State wasn't going to say anything publicly. 10 days. 10 days. And you mean to tell me, oh, they were working on it and it's fine. No. No. And again, oh god, what the hell was the Gene Smith with Ohio State. Quote, I want to offer my sincere and heartfelt apology to Jagger Joshua on behalf of Ohio State. I am so sorry. No student or student athlete should experience hatred or racism, and everyone should feel welcome. I've spoken with Michigan State's athletic director, and I'm thankful Jagger's getting the support that he needs. Just the most PC nonsense possible. It's just, like, man, it's just so depressing for a variety of different reasons. You know, we see it in sports, the idea of people just not being allowed to live their lives and do what they want to do, especially under the context of they're not fucking hurting anybody. Jagger Joshua's just playing the game that he loves and gets targeted because of something he can 100% not control, that being the color of his skin.
Yep.
Outside of hockey, we are just a few days removed from the shooting in Colorado Springs, where a group of people are targeted because they're simply living their lives, and people are just like, fuck you. It's just so depressing and demoralizing at times to live in this fucking world that we do. Is my biggest takeaway from this. It has been a crazy couple of days, I think, for most people, mentally. Like I said, with the Jagger Joshua side of things, it's just that realization of, like, if he didn't speak out, none of us would have fucking known.
Yep.
10 days later, by the way. So he waited. I give him all the credit in the world. He fucking waited to just be like, maybe they are doing something.
Mm-hmm.
10 days go by and he's like, you know what, fuck this. I'm going to say something. And credit to him. Because that's not easy. The hate that can bring on. The nonsense that you have to deal with in an online setting. You know, the NHL yesterday on November 22nd put out a tweet. The NHL is proud to support this past weekend's Team Trans Draft Tournament in Middleton, Wisconsin. This was the first tournament comprised of entirely transgender and non-binary players, with around 80 folks participating. You can imagine what some of the comments were in response to that.
Mm-hmm.
You can imagine. Just days removed from what happened in Colorado. Where, by the way, the big headline today from that is the father of the shooter was interviewed, and yeah, I'm just gonna read this. Fuck it, whatever. Quote, they started telling me about the incident, a shooting, and then I go on to find out that it's at a gay bar. I got scared. Shit, is my son gay? And he's not gay, so I said, phew. Like, that's the world that we live in. Someone's son committed a fucking incredibly violent act, and his first reaction was, well, thank God he wasn't there because he's actually gay. And you know someone in response to, like, you can only imagine the family environment of this fucking player as to where he's like, yeah, I can just call Jagger Joshua whatever the fuck I want. Like, it's been like the past 2 days for me. It's just been these two incidents kind of intertwining where I'm just like, man, it's just so fucking depressing. Which is a part of the reason, Sim, why you're like, yeah, I went off to a cabin for a while. I'm like, can I go with you? I'll just leave my phone behind and just try to fucking live. It's just so depressing because you can't escape it, no matter where you go. And it's depressing enough for me as a straight white man who will never know what it's like to be Jagger Joshua in that instance, or someone who happens to be trans that just goes out to a fucking club and doesn't come home. And it's depressing enough for me. I can only imagine how fucking depressing among so many other feelings as it is for the people who are directly affected by this shit. And it fucking sucks. Like I said, not the easiest kind of talking point, but you know, in the Jagger Joshua instance specifically, it's just like, thank God he had the fucking courage to speak up, knowing what type of fucking backlash he might face just for speaking up and what he might be, you know, opening himself up to in terms of what he'll face on social media and even within that community, because you know there are going to be some psychopaths that only view it as I don't even know. I don't even know. Do either of you two have anything to add on this? Because I could rant and ramble about this all day, but it's just
Not really. I'm
it's
just tired.
fucking depressing.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Like, we can just keep regurgitating the exact same words over and over and over again. It's not really going to do anything. That's the big issue about it too, is that our words can only go so far to have these things stop. It's about, action and stuff like that, and contacting certain people in legislation or whatever to help fight against stuff like this and help fight against
Problem is,
injustice and crimes like this. Like, it's there's not much else we can really say on it in
yeah,
general.
big problem is a lot of those legislators perpetuate it and
Exactly.
silently
Yep.
cheer for it. And you cannot convince me otherwise that certain ones are not silently cheering for this. Because they're only a few fucking carefully picked words away from that, doing that on live, huge public settings, which is it should be fucking terrifying to people.
What a country we live in. For Sin and I. Not that
Yeah.
Canada's exempt from, you know, these types of issues, certainly.
Oh,
But
no, we're not. We are not exempt from any of these issues. We have stuff like this happening on a very smaller scale, but it's still a same issue and same stuff that's happening. The amount of injustice that people in those communities and other people like Native Americans, Aboriginals were facing as well too. It's just disrespectful. And again, there's not much we can do aside from being are aware of it and using our platforms, whatever the fuck we want to call these things that we have, to speak up against certain things and raise awareness for good things around us in our communities. Yeah, so that's
you know,
all I got to say on this.
you'd like to think essentially that we're preaching to the choir when it comes to this show. And you know, at the end
Yeah.
of the day, like, you know, we don't have delusions of grandeur about this particular show. We are just three friends who like to shoot the shit about hockey. But sometimes real world issues cross over into the sports world. And by sometimes, I mean all the time, because it's ever fucking present.
Yep.
And you have to talk about this shit. And like I said, I'd like to think that we're preaching to the choir with this. And if we're not, I'd implore whoever is second guessing what we're what we're saying, or disagreeing with what we're saying, I'd implore you to be a bit more mindful, to put a bit more thought into some of these things. And if you still kind of disagree, then maybe this isn't the show for you. Because at the end of the day, it comes down to, as I mentioned, letting people live their fucking lives when they're not hurting anybody. Jagger Joshua just wants to play hockey. A lot of people just want to go about living their lives on this fucking bitch of an earth, as much of a meme as that is. It's fucking true. And I simply cannot relate to anybody that would even begin to think like, yeah, but there's no yeah, but in this situation. it's never an easy transition to then going to talking about hockey, which is why it's always like, shit, do we talk about something so serious? But at the end of the day, there's the good and the bad in this instance when it's a hockey podcast, or at least a show that's that likes to trick you into
Centered
thinking it's
around
a hockey
hockey. Yeah.
podcast. Then we
Yeah.
talk for about fucking potatoes for 20 minutes to start off the show. Uh, that said, there were some things that have gone down over the past 2 nights since Endo and myself recorded that show on Monday. The Carolina Hurricanes have signed 23-year-old goaltender Pyotr Kochetkov
Kochetkov.
to an extension, $2 million for the next 4 years starting next season.
That's
A
good.
2019 second rounder. Did well in the KHL, the AHL, and now the NHL in a small sample size. In 4 games this year, he has a 2.0 goals against average with a 914 save percentage. And if you combine those 4 games with his 3 last year, he has a 216 goals against average with a 909 save percentage in 7 career appearances. It's a safe bet. I'd say that's you're hedging your bets at that point that he is going to kind of continue on this upward trajectory. It is still rather interesting how they've gone about setting up their goaltending, though, over the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
From just moving on from Alex Nedeljkovic, you bring in Freddie Anderson. Anderson, by the way, right now is currently day to day with an injury. He has a sub 900 save percentage in 8 games on Carolina somehow.
Yeah, that's bizarre.
But Antti Ranta's deal's up at the end of the year. Anderson's deal's up at the end of the year. So you're committing to at least this, young goaltender. I think he turns 24 in January. You're committing to this guy for the future, and it's like, all right, cool. You'll still have some cap maneuverability to, hopefully get a solid tandem or a solid backup if he does prove to be the guy throughout the rest of the year. So I still view it as just another strong move by Carolina, really.
Yeah.
It's tough to look at what they've done and view it as overly negative on paper. That said, in terms of how they've done so far this season, they haven't quite hit juggernaut status. I mentioned Seattle being 7th in points percentage. Carolina's 8th. Certainly not that bad. By the way, Toronto's 9th. Remember when the sky was falling there?
Yeah.
But, Carolina this year, Teuvo Teravainen, he's had some injuries. Max Pacioretty hasn't played this year. You can look at that forward lineup and just be like, huh, Paul Stastny only has 4 points in 18 games. That's pretty low. Jesperi Kotkaniemi. Any guesses for his stat line so far this year?
Yeah, 4 points.
1 goal, 2 assists
Oh, I was
in
close.
19 games played. He is now making $4.82 million against the cap until 2030. Not a great start.
No.
So, I don't know. I'm intrigued for Carolina. I don't think this signing is necessarily something for Canes fans to be concerned about. I'd say, be happy about it.
Yeah.
His nickname is Coochie.
Nice.
They locked down Coochie for 4 years. It's
at
cuffing
least.
season.
You
Ladies,
never know.
it's cuffing season. Let's go.
It could be a lifetime commitment. You never know.
Yeah, you never know. Coochie's so good, you lock it down for 4 years.
Jesus. You never know where the show's going to go is all I can say. You just never know.
Oh, man.
On Monday, Endo and I got to talk about Shane Wright quite a bit. He scored his first professional goal for the Coachella Valley Firebirds the other night. Sin, I wanted your thoughts on this since you didn't get to talk about it on Monday. We pretty much thought like this is where they were going to go. Still kind of questioned it, but now that we actually see the plan for Shane Wright, which was have him play a couple of games pro, he's mostly just going to kind of sit and be involved in practices. Then he gets sent down on a conditioning stint for 5 games here. He'll get called back up and play 1 game against Montreal and then pretty much be set to go to the World Juniors. And then from there, likely goes back down to the OHL, maybe stays around with Seattle. Do you view that as like, if he was a Sharks prospect, would you be happy with that? Or would you
No.
have preferred to just see him go back to junior.
Yeah, go back to junior immediately. I really don't understand why they did what they did, but it all has to do with a really, really weird system and agreement between the Canadian League and the National Hockey League of like, don't take
Yes.
away our stars, but you're still you're a fucking development league. Like
Yeah.
I don't understand. Like, yeah, like I don't know. It's like, what does he make? Like a couple $100 a week in the OHL. So like right now he's making some good money. Not as much now that he's in the AHL. He's just like his money situation just gone from it's yeah.
Yeah.
Uh, I just would have preferred to see him in like in one place for the whole time. Now when he goes back to Kingston, I don't even know if he'll play there. I think Kingston trades him because it's going to be at this point in the season where it's like you either push for a championship or you load up on a bunch of future picks trading Shane Wright. I'm
Right.
pretty sure, like, oftentimes you see that happen, like those big top names, like they get sent back, like they're only going to be there for a year. They often get traded
Yep.
in the CHL, so I think we could be seeing that. But yeah, I don't know, like, what's the difference between a European or American 18-year-old versus a Canadian 18-year-old? Why can't they play in the American League? And it all comes down to a really, really weird agreement and
Yeah.
probably just comes down to money for Hockey Canada and other fucking shit like
Yeah.
that. Like, so I think this was kind of fucked for his development. Seattle's gaming the system. And yeah, I don't know. I don't think it's great for his development, but yeah, hopefully he's able to burst the seams and because I mean, he's got to be motivated to quell those fucking the narrative against him when he dropped down to fourth that he's this shitty person, bad attitude, all this other crap. Like,
Mm.
god damn. Like,
Yeah, I mean, Endo and I had kind of mentioned on Monday, like my general thoughts on it. It's just, if this works out for Seattle, maybe this does change the way that teams handle their prospects because it is, in a sense, trying to circumvent the AHL rule where a player like Shane Wright cannot go to the AHL. Um, whether or not it works is the question, and the jury's out for now. The safe move would have been just to send him back to junior. We'll see if this works out, but certainly I don't think that argument of you know this type of idea is going away, and certainly the argument of that rule. Let an NHL team fucking pay the CHL team, or give them, yeah. I mean, you could do something like, hey, you're allowed one exemption player a year in the case of Shane Wright, but you have to pay the team
The
this much
premium.
money
Yeah.
to make up for revenue they might lose because now they don't have one of their star players. There's different ways to go about it.
yeah.
Um, but
Yeah.
I'd like to think like certain teams, especially NHL wise, are going to push for this to change sooner rather than later. Definitely.
Yeah. So the way as far as I know, the way the contracts work in the CHL is that players aren't paid a salary; they're paid per diem. Instead.
Oh, I thought they got
So
like $200 a week and per diem. Maybe I
no,
was
I'm
wrong.
pretty sure it was just per diem.
Damn.
I'm not sure exactly. It's per diem, and then like any housing costs like from like the billet family is paid off by the team
Hmm.
and that kind
Hmm.
of thing. Because the billet family just gives them like a roof over their head kind of thing. Just gives them like basic stuff. Make sure they're actually safe. But the whole agreement itself too is mostly financial based. Like I think the CHL, the more I look at it, is it's like one of the only like development leagues that like really prioritizes money over anything else. Because like the rights of these people are basically kind of set there in stone. Like you could go play like I'm sure if he went over to like Europe or something like that and said, fuck, I'm gonna go play in Europe instead, he would have eligibility to join into the AHL like immediately with
Yeah,
no
I mean that's what
clause.
Austin did, essentially.
Yeah.
Mm.
And it paid out well for him. Holy.
Well, it's funny you mention one Mr. Austin Matthews because I wanted to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs really quickly. Uh, John Tavares needs to get his flowers here on this one. There was the stat line. His last 300 games as an Islander, 129 goals, 288 points. His first 299 games as a Leaf, 129 goals, 295 points. Any idea, like any argument towards like, oh, John Tavares isn't what he was with the Islanders, or he wasn't worth it, and the Islanders made the right decision to not give him the money.
No, he isn't what he
No.
was with the Islanders. He's fucking better.
Yeah. And I mean, you could argue it's because the supporting cast around him, but that's kind of the point, is it not?
Islanders didn't fucking support the guy. It's very clear.
So, all the credit in the world to John Tavares, who has had a phenomenal season, but the Leafs have run into a little bit more trouble, as it was announced today that Morgan Riley is heading to the IR. They are now without their 3 highest paid defensemen, Riley, Muzzin, and TJ Brody, which I don't need to tell you how rough that is. Their defense, as listed on Cap Friendly 2 hours ago, top pair Mark Giordano and Justin Hall.
Woo!
Rests.
I'd go with Sandin and Liljegren, but you do you.
Sandin Liljegren is their second pair. And third pair, Jordy Ben with Mac Hollowell.
Oh, not Crawl, huh?
Attaboy.
Not Philip Crawl. Not Mete. It could end up being the guy, though, that they acquired today, as they traded big boy. Big, beefy boy. Curtis Douglas to the Arizona Coyotes. By the way, Curtis Douglas rocking 6'9", 248 pounds, according to Cap Friendly.
Are you sure about that? Are
According
you
to EA.
Are you sure it's not 6'8", 238?
I'm willing to forgive them on that because that's a small thing, but yeah.
I'm not.
I don't know. It's a database.
Let's not turn it into that.
What? Where's the fucking API, EA? Come on, buddies. Be smart with it. You have the same thing for FIFA. How the fuck do you have it here for fucking thing? It's made down the same fucking hall. Sorry. I forgot my girlfriend's doing tutoring right now, so yeah.
There you go. Curtis Douglas, 4th round pick of the Dallas Stars. That he didn't sign with them. Ends up with the Marlies, then signs with the Leafs. Last year with the Marlies, had 34 points in 67 games. Gets the contract. It was a 2-year deal, by the way, worth about $840K. This season with the Marlies, 1 point in 13 games.
Rough.
So the Leafs move on. The Coyotes get this 22-year-old giant. They're fine. The Leafs get the interesting player back. Connor Timmins. Former 2nd-round pick of the Colorado Avalanche in 2017. 32nd overall, so basically, might as well have been first-round pick. Had some brutal concussion issues.
You said 2017?
Yes.
The fact that Colorado would they were last place at that time, and then they just won a cup. That's pretty awesome. Anyway, that's
You're
just
not
a
wrong.
aside right there.
Yeah.
Yep. That quick of a turnaround, yeah.
Yeah, good for them.
So Timmins had, a bunch of injury troubles. This season, he's only played in 2 games with the Coyotes, 6 with the Tucson Roadrunners. When healthy, looked incredibly promising. Both at the junior level and at the AHL level, but he has had trouble staying healthy. Leafs are going to give him a chance.
Yep.
Probably helps that he's a former Sioux Greyhound. Kyle Dubas loves
Every
bringing in his
fucking
former
time.
Sioux Greyhounds.
The whole team is Sioux Greyhounds. It's so fucking funny. I don't know what his obsession is with that fucking Greyhound.
Sue, are you?
Sioux.
Sue.
Yeah. Sue. I really want to know.
Oh, God. So, I don't know. For the Leafs, why not? Connor Timmins, give him a chance. And for the Coyotes, why not?
Yeah.
Why not give him a chance, I guess? It's just the idea of...
What if he goes Tage Thompson? Why not?
Yeah, I mean, Jesus, right? Yeah, especially in today's NHL, you never know.
Yeah,
Yanni Gord. I think I saw the tweet. 2017, he was in the ECHL, and he's like, maybe I just quit playing hockey and go get, a normal job.
Yeah.
And now he's played 400 games. He's a Stanley Cup champion. You just never know, when someone's going to be able to turn it around. I mean, shit, the Nashville Predators right now have a 7th round pick as their number 1 center. Yuso Parsonen, he's 21 years old. 7th round pick, has 5 points in 5 games. He is listed as their number 1 center right now between Philip Forsberg and Mikhail Granlund.
Sick. I love
We'll
those
see
stories,
if he can
man.
keep that up.
Joe Pavelski, fucking 7th round pick.
I forget, was it Nico Hutanen? Someone like that. There's another former 7th round pick. He was a 7th round pick of the Lightning this year, and it is Nico Hutanen. 224th overall in 2021.
Yeah.
Who currently has 12 points in 18 games in Liga after doing very well in the WHL last year with Everett. You just never know. You just never know with some of these guys. So I am rooting for Connor Timmins, because again, you never like to see someone's chances just get completely derailed. So hoping for the best for him. And very interesting time at this stage, obviously, now for the Maple Leafs, just given the ridiculous amount of injuries, really.
Yeah, they kind of desperately needed a defenseman.
Yes. Well, no. I mean, you have Victor Mete as an
I
option.
mean, they got him. Apparently, they don't want to use him.
Yeah, a lot of Habs fans are feeling quite justified at this stage. Speaking of the Lightning, they played the Bruins the other night. The Bruins got the win to move to, 17-2-0 at this stage.
Ridiculous,
NHL's
man.
best.
Absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I know, Tougie, you were a bit on the fence about the Sweeney firing and stuff like that, and I deserve to a point, but I need to watch a full Bruins game. I've watched several condensed games. Their offensive system is unreal. Like, it's fucking terrifying. It looks like a power play at all times. They even set up like they're on the power play. They go umbrella, like, constantly. They're constantly moving in the zone. They look exceptionally scary. Not only that is their system good, but it's like the effort level I'm seeing from people diving to try to keep plays alive. Like, I mean, when they had the lead against, man, who'd they blow out 6-1? Who was that? Island? Wait.
Let's see.
Who was
Chicago.
that? Chicago. Yeah, that's right. Like, okay, it's Chicago, but at the same time, they have a multi-goal lead against fucking Chicago, and they're still giving 110% on every single play. Like, that's a scary team right there. They're getting the results. They look like a scary team. Not only are they having that great offensive output, but they look like they're going to be a playoff performer because of those little things like that. The effort. They're still the Bruins in your face all the time. They're still kicking the hornet's nest constantly and welcoming the Stings back. Wow. Krejci didn't look like he missed any time in the NHL, which is bizarre. How do you go to the Czech league, or is it Slovakian league, and then come back and then still be able to skate like he does, still have those incredible hands, still be one of the most underrated centers in the NHL?
Speaking of underrated centers, Patrice Bergeron hit 1,000 career points in this win over Tampa. And I say underrated centers because we have had the ability to watch a generational two-way player. The greatest two-way center in the history of the NHL. Don't at me, because it's a fact. Future Hockey Hall of Famer and a saint of a man.
Yeah.
God bless Patrice Bergeron.
You look at any fucking scrum and anything that's happening, people don't mess with Patrice, dude. Like, they just talk to him. Like, it's crazy. You think of the big bad Bruins, like, oh, fuck Marchand back in the day, fuck Lucic, even fuck Chara at times, and like Patrice is like, yeah, you can't hate him no matter what.
Good guy. Yeah. Fuck
Like,
you,
imagine,
fuck you, fuck you. You're cool.
like, imagine being one of the few players in the history of the NHL to actually get in a fight with Patrice Bergeron. There have been 4, by the way.
Who are they?
All of them are going straight to hell, straight to jail.
Or
you fight Patrice Bergeron, straight to jail.
Straight to jail.
Bergeron's first NHL fight, April 18th, 2009, against Montreal's Josh Georges.
Sharks legend.
Hockey Fights has the voting at a 93.6% win for Bergeron. So I guess he ragdolled him. I'm going to have to watch that fight. 4 years later, he fights Evgeny Malkin on June 1st, 2013.
Angry Gino.
Which I would guess it was playoffs. It might have even been conference final. That was a 75% win for Malkin, as voted on by Hockey Fights.
He's a big boy.
December, so 6 months later in 2013, he fought Tyler Myers.
What?
With Myers getting a 65% victory vote on Hockey Fights. But yeah, Patrice Bergeron had the balls to fight Tyler Myers, how huge he is. And then 3 years later, Bergeron's last listed fight, February 2016, against former Bruin Blake Wheeler, in which Wheeler got the nod in the voting for that one as well. Yeah, so all 4 of those guys straight to jail for daring to fight Patrice Bergeron.
Yeah.
Amazing. But yeah, God, I love that man so much. The other team that's absolutely crushing it, the New Jersey Devils. The story of the year so far,
It's happening.
no doubt.
It could happen, and I'm so happy.
Tonight, the Leafs play the New Jersey Devils. As we mentioned, we joked about this last week.
I know.
That the record for most wins consecutively in franchise history for the Devils could be broken next Wednesday against the Leafs. It is now next Wednesday. They are playing the Leafs. They are still on this run, and they can make it a new franchise record of 14 wins in a row by beating the Leafs tonight.
Just go to overtime. That's got to be your goal going in if you're the Devils. Toronto might be the worst 3-on-3 team right now, which is hilarious considering who they have on that team. But yeah, please do it, Devils. I know Endo is all sad. But at the same time, fucking let's go Devils, man. Like, good for them. It's a cool story considering, Lindy Ruff?
Yeah.
Okay. Why was I second guessing that? I thought I was like, wait. Yes.
Lindy.
Because Lindy's a weird name.
Yeah. But I was also like, is he even the coach? Like, I had a weird thing right there for a minute. Yes. Like, dude, they're scary. I don't think they're being talked about enough, by the way, like in the NHL in general. Like, they've won 13 in a row.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it should be a bigger story than it is, but again, I don't keep up as much. Maybe it kind of has been.
Well, I mean, the big thing is that you have people trying to discredit them, saying it's not going to last. And, that's not out of the question to think about. I mean, they're 16-3-0 for fuck's sakes. They've won 13 in a row. Think about that. They were 3-3.
Yeah.
They are now 16-3. Second best record in the NHL, only behind Boston.
The thing is, it doesn't have to last. You know how much of a good position they put themselves in? If you just play solid, consistent hockey from here on out, golden. Like, win 2 games, lose 1. Win 2 games, lose 1. You could do that for the rest of the year and be in a good seed in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
All you got to do is just be. You can even win 3 and lose 2 probably, and still be like they've put themselves like that's a lot of games in a row. That's 26 straight points. 26 points is a big deal. It really can't be overlooked. And yeah, of course it's not going to last. You can't just keep winning. But the fact is, it's like
the Bruins exist, so maybe.
Yeah, maybe. But the fact of the matter is that all those points count, and they've earned all of those fucking points.
The Devils on an NHL high 13-game win streak. The Bruins have won 7 in a row since their loss to the Leafs. They play Florida tonight, by the way, so that's going to be an interesting one. Do you know the other team that's on a 7-game win streak, by the way?
St. Louis Blues?
Yes, sir. After losing 8 in a row, they've now won 7 in a row.
They've almost erased it.
They still are in 16th and have a -6 goal differential. By the way, the goal differentials are interesting. The Bruins at a league best +40.
Gross.
Anaheim at a league worst -32.
Yeah, I was just gonna look them up. I thought it was -32, but yeah.
Fucking A, Anaheim. That's ridiculous. By the way, Lindy Ruff. That's his name. It's not a nickname. His legal first name by birth is Lindy.
Not Linden or whatever. Fucking.
Not Linden. Not his middle name's Cameron.
Trevor Linden Ruff.
If only. Also want to shout out He's from Warburg, Alberta,
Oh, not
which
War Road, huh? Oh wait, that's in
no,
America.
no, but shout out to Warburg, Alberta, home of Lindy Ruff. Population 676 as of 2021. Way
Damn.
to go, Lindy.
National hero.
Last two things to mention. We talked about the absurd pace Cale Makar was on, and officially, he is the fastest defenseman in NHL history to reach 200 points. He did it in 195 games, beating the record by 12 freaking games. He's unbelievable.
Yeah, insane, and it's pretty insane that he's also on Colorado. That team is insane.
Yeah.
They have a lot of injuries too, and they're still keeping up a very good pace. They've won 3 in a row. So
Yeah.
I think they just called up a recent first round pick, not this year, but Oscar Olesen got the call up. So intrigued by that. The final thing to mention, the New York Rangers have traded forward Ryan Reeves to the Minnesota Wild for a 2025 fifth round pick. Now, what this means for the Rangers, well, they kind of did Ryan Reeves a favor. Apparently, he wanted out because he really wasn't playing, wanted a chance to go somewhere else. And, well, let's be honest, the Rangers, they already toughened up, really sent Tom Wilson a message. So, now you can move on after all this time. So, for the Rangers, it's not necessarily a loss in terms of on-ice performance. Obviously, Ryan Reeves really kind of fills a certain role of that certainly physical presence, and on top of that, a good locker room guy. So it makes you wonder, because the Rangers haven't necessarily had the best start, if that's the type of guy you want to move on from. But his on-ice impact outside of existing isn't phenomenal. For the Minnesota Wild, you get someone whose on-ice impact isn't phenomenal, but he is a presence, and in theory, a good locker room presence as well. Tyson Jost, who just got claimed by the Buffalo Sabres on waivers, kind of mentioned his thoughts on the locker room is that a lot of guys in Minnesota are kind of on eggshells, and it's kind of an uneasy locker room to be in right now, which is always interesting. It's like, is that just, is that accurate? Is that just kind of how he viewed things based off of his experience there? It is, it can be tough to say. Minnesota entering play tonight, 22nd in the NHL, with a 500 point percentage on the season so far, which isn't great. They have an identical point percentage as the Montreal Canadiens. That is not where Minnesota thought they'd be 18 games into their season.
No,
at all.
absolutely not. And
So
the thing for the Rangers too is they clear up almost $2 million of cap.
yes, that's another big aspect to it. Reeves against the cap,
175, I think.
Yes, 175 for the rest of the season at 35 years old. So, on paper, big win for the New York Rangers to clear up that bit of cap space. And, is it necessarily a player that you needed at this stage? I mean, shit, people were debating if it was a player they needed at all when they went out and pulled the trigger on that particular move. Matter of fact, I wanted to look up what that initial trade was for Ryan Reeves, and it was, third round pick.
Oh,
That became prospect. Fun fact for the Maple Leafs, because the pick moved around a little bit, but it became Nicholas Moldenhauer, who was drafted by the Leafs in the third round this year. Ryan Reeves is a part of 4 very interesting trades. There was the 2017 deal where Pittsburgh got him, along with a second for Oscar Sundqvist and a first.
Yeah, that one was the one that blew my mind. I remember that.
That first round pick, by the way, current Edmonton Oiler Klim Kostin. So, at least Sundqvist was a part of the cup winning team for the Blues.
Yeah.
He was then a part of that crazy deal involving Pittsburgh, Vegas, and Ottawa, in which the Penguins ended up with Derek Brassard, and a couple other options. Vegas ended up with Brassard for half a second, but really ended up with Reeves. There's some weird trades there, but Michael Russo, known for following and covering the Wild, mentioned, quote, just chatted with the Wild GM Bill Guerin. He had this to say about Reeves. It's not for the fighting. He's a big personality. He's got a lot of energy. He's got swagger. We've been missing that. The energy he brings is good. And size, he's going to help us get our identity back. You might want to hope so, Bill. You
Yeah.
might want to hope so, because I don't know if this ownership's going to appreciate this team being on the outside looking in, especially when, as we've talked about, those buyouts still for Parise and Suter are still looming overhead.
Mm-hmm.
They count for $12.7 million against the cap this year, and then 14.7 for the next 2 years after this, before dropping down to 1.6.
That's just insane. I don't know why they didn't I mean, they signed Kaprizov, so you couldn't punt. They are in such a shit position. I don't know what. Like, I understand one of the buyouts, but I don't know why they bought out both. I feel like Suter was still. I don't know.
I would have kept Ryan Suter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally.
I don't understand why they bought out both of them.
Like, I can understand moving on from Parise if you wanted, but yeah, the Suter deal, to me, I thought he was still a more than valuable enough option.
He's better than fucking Vlasic. Like, yeah, he's making more, but like he was still pretty good. I don't know. That always weirded me out. And like to me, it's like if you buy out both of those players, you're gonna have all that dead cap for those couple of years. Those are years when you should be like punting on the season, but you can't because you have Kaprizov. Like those should have been years, especially with the prospect levels that were, in these. Yeah, if they did that, you should have been in the Bedard running, but you couldn't do that because Kaprizov. Yeah, I don't know what the Wild are gonna do and what they're doing. They're in a very, very weird and precarious position. And like, how do you even win with that amount of dead cap?
Suter is 37 years old. He's playing 22 minutes a night for the Dallas Stars.
Pretty good.
His, like, the analytical perspective doesn't paint a very pretty picture, especially for him defensively. But the Wild, I mean, you do have some guys who are known to be decent defensively. I mean, you might have to put someone on the offhand, but like, man, you shelter Ryan Suter's defensive inefficiencies with someone like Jonas Brodin or Jared Spurgeon. You should be okay. Jared Spurgeon.
I knew that was coming. I fucking knew it.
Every time. Oh yeah, I played baseball, boy.
Oh God! And for the record, too, Zach Parise, third liner right now with the Islanders, 8 points in 20 games, and it's not bad. And again, from the analytical perspective, still someone who drives offense. So
Yeah.
definitely we're both going to be overpaid for what they were making with the Wild, but yeah, God, those cap hits, man, those cap hits, and like I said, it kind of puts them into that very, very weird spot. With that, gentlemen, I think we're good for today's show. The pre-Thanksgiving celebration, where the next time you see Sin and I, we're going to look like Brendan Fraser in The Whale.
Wow. That's
What?
a reference.
It is. That movie's not even out yet, but I feel like I've seen it. In fairness, it's because Brendan Fraser's been everywhere, as he should be.
Yeah, gem of a man.
God damn it, what a guy. He had he was a part of, what was it, like a GQ YouTube video like a week ago, like breaks down his iconic characters,
roles. I
something like
love
that.
those videos. I gotta watch that because I hope they do Airheads. They better do Airheads.
They didn't mention Airheads. I hate to tell you.
What?
I know.
Fuck GQ.
But
I
it
love
is
GQ. Fuck GQ.
it is 21 minutes of just Brendan Fraser being the best man on the planet.
Wired is better anyway.
God, they did talk about. You'll be happy to know they talked about Encino Man. They talked about School Ties, and then it gets into the good stuff outside of Airheads. Unfortunately, George of the Jungle. They talk about the Mummy series, which is
The Mummy 1 and 2.
We'll ignore that third one with Jet Li. It was kind of weird.
Exactly. Never happened. The Mummy. Rated R starts Friday.
Gentlemen, it's been a good one. You got anything to plug, or are we just calling it quits?
Yeah, watch my franchise mode videos. Yeah, I got 2 of them running right now. I'm rebuilding Chicago, and I got an expansion going because now I'm gonna bitch about NHL 23. I went and downloaded my member roster that Snipe made for me. Download and set as active. And because I know EA's EA, I go in and look at what my active roster is. Okay, good. It's the one I just downloaded. Cool. Start the expansion franchise mode. Waiting to see if all the do the expansion draft and that throwaway draft, sim an entire or get through some of the year. When I get to the scouting portion, how I do scouting, I'm like, wait a sec, where are all my members? None of the members are in the prospect list. So I go out, and for some reason, EA made up a new custom roster and just from a default one. And I was like, did I screw this up somehow? And someone's like, no, this happened to me too. Like, even though you download and set as active, it shows it set as active, but it's just a visual glitch. I'm like, awesome, cool.
What?
So, yep. So right now, so I started a new one because I'm not letting my paid members just not get what they paid for. Is to be a prospect in my video game. So yeah, we got that going on in Chicago with the members, and then just a expansion franchise also going on. But yeah, it's been a while since I've done 2 franchise modes, mostly because last year EA would delete my save files of any other franchise modes. I could only have one going at a time.
It's true.
Good stuff, EA.
I am also back on NHL franchise mode, bringing back old Draft to Glory Goon Squad, and hoping for no crazy issues. Admittedly, Sin, at some point I might end up stealing the idea of members get into a franchise type of thing, because
It's fun. It's really fun.
yeah.
Keeping
I
track.
haven't done something like that in a long time. I did it once on Patreon, but it's like I want to open it to more people than just patrons. So at the same time, I mean, yeah, you could do the YouTube membership. There's multiple different ways to do it. But yeah, Draft to Glory Goon Squad going on right now. It's been an interesting start. Obviously, we're a little bit further ahead on Twitch because based off of my schedule, it's still easier to kind of live stream it and then send it over to the YouTube side of things. Not everyone's cup of tea, but hey, it's better than nothing. So deal with it. Endo, what about you?
I play skateboard.
Still bored?
I've been playing a lot of Skate 2 lately. Still playing it. It's a
I've
lot
never
of fun.
played any of the skate games. Are they as good as Tony Hawk?
They're different.
Okay.
They are quote unquote more realistic.
It's simulation, whatever the fuck. So Tony Hawk is arcade. Skate's kind of like arcade-ish, arcade / realism, and then you go to like Session, Skater XL, and stuff like that, where it's like kind of like more realistic kind of skating, where you actually use both sticks. There was a whole thing about how people wanted to have those controls inside of Skate, and like the developers were like, well, the whole point of Skate is so it's approachable to everybody, and not everyone can learn the controls where your left foot's mapped to your left stick and your right foot's mapped to the right stick, kind of thing. It's more realistic to how skating actually is, but the simple like flick it controls with the stick is really easy for everyone to learn.
Cool. Okay, I might have to check it out because I love Tony Hawk because I'm just like I love the arcade style of it because I'm just out there. I play horse and I set million point combos. Just fucking.
So here you are doing everything you can, holding on to what you am.
God, the sound.
And you're a Superman.
Yeah. So Skate 1 and 3 are available on Game Pass / EA Play. So you can play it if you have an Xbox, you have Game Pass Ultimate, or you have EA Play.
Yeah, I looked at those and I was considering trying them out.
Skate 2 is not on there. You have to pay $14.99 for it because they know it's the best game of the entire list. It's still worth it though. Definitely to play the game.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go.
Twitch.tv/EndoMills. That's where I'm at. That's where everyone knows. They all know.
They do.
Yeah.
For our fellow Americans, enjoy your Thanksgiving tomorrow. We will see you next week, back on Monday, with hopefully nothing but fun topics to talk about. Please, God, please. Endo, the final word of the show is yours. Take it away.
Like we said last episode, Sim wasn't here, sadly. But, be really thankful for what you have, everything that you have, and what's around you and your family and everything. And then bludgeon that grandma for the rice cooker at 12 a.m. at Best Buy or Walmart, CVS, or wherever the fuck it is, okay? Listen, you got to fight for it. You are grateful for what you have, but you're even more grateful what you could have. Happy Thanksgiving.
I'm going to steal the last word from you. Let it be known. We figured it out. Bill Guerin traded for Ryan Reeves, so he has backup on Black Friday deals.